We are back with Dr. Felicity Keough of Keough Chiropractic in St. Charles, and today we're going to be talking about stress.
Stress is huge.
Yes, so the effects stress has on our body, stress management. What do you got for us, Doc?
Stress. Well, it's kind of the way of the world, right? Everybody's under stress.
Yeah.
Anyone you talk to, they're going to have stress in their life, and truly, stress is pretty healthy, and it can be healthy in certain amounts. That's really kind of how we evolved. Stressors. Now, when stressors get too high, that is going to pose health risks, of course. But the key is balance when it comes to stress.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm going to do a separate video on this. But if you're really struggling with stress, one of the most important things you can do is identify the type of stress you're having. Because if you're struggling with acute stress, which is kind of what you initially started talking about, that's the motivating stress, right? So it kind of motivates you to get things done. If we didn't have stress, we wouldn't get a lot of things done, right?
This is true.
But then there's an episodic acute stress or a chronic stress, and those types of stressors are out of balance.
Yes.
And I'll do a separate mental health video on that. But tell us a little bit more about what to do. How does stress affect our bodies when it's out of balance?
So, like you said, we've evolved to respond to stress. When we were being faced with being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, you have a stress response, right? And it makes you prepare to run, basically fight or flight, so you can survive, right? But then you escape and you're fine, and that stressor is supposed to, the stress is supposed to kind of go back to neutral. But we have issues whenever the stress becomes chronic. And then, of course, identifying the type of stress too. So there's physical stress, there's mental, emotional stress, and then there's chemical stress. So some examples of chemical stress would be, like your latte, right, or your coffee. Like that much caffeine can be a chemical stressor to the body, or prescription medications, whatever we're eating, putting in our mouth. Mental, emotional stress might be going through like a job interview, or getting divorced, or somebody who passed away, or anything like that. Physical stress is what, as a chiropractor, our office deals with every day. Physical stress. So just sitting in, like kids that sit in their classroom for hours on end, or if we have a job that's very repetitive, car accidents, purses that are too heavy, babies that we carry on our hip, like all of that stuff is a physical stressor.
Looking at your cell phone and getting the hump on your back, and yes.
That's job security for me. Everybody's got tech neck, but those are all signs of physical stress that can impact you. So knowing what type of stress you're dealing with is important too.
Okay, so what can we do about it?
Well, if you're talking physical stress, that's something that a chiropractor can help you with. That's what we do in our office. We try to assess for the patient's physical stressors. And we look at their spine in an exam and x-rays to see what's going on, what happened in their history, and then we help them from there to repair that physical stress. Also, a massage therapist. We have massage therapists in our office, and they help tremendously with physical stress, like getting a massage on a regular basis. Those are two big things that come to mind when it comes to physical stress. One
of the things that I noticed when I started coming to your office for chiropractic care, not just functional health, but I remember someone in your staff took a photo of me and my posture, and I remember like my head was like really far forward. It was such an awkward looking photo. And then after you did some work with me, you and your staff showed me different exercises to do, and which frankly seemed a little bit bizarre. However, whenever I was reconditioning my body and trying to change even with my posture, I definitely reduced the physical stress on my body just from these little exercises.
That's a great point, because even if you don't see a chiropractor, like you might have terrible posture, like we all do, really, unless we're getting body work done on a semi-regular basis. So, if your head's out here because you've worked at a computer for 20 years and you're on the phone and you have kids you're talking to, then that's going to be physical stress on your cervical spine, which is going to perpetuate pain and issues in your neck. So yeah, like just assessing your posture even, and then making those changes with exercise, massage, adjustments to help correct that posture to keep stress off your spine.
Okay, so Dr. Keough, tell us a little bit more, so we can understanding that identifying the type of stress that we're under is really important, whether in different capacities in our life. So what are some ways that we can de-stress? I know as a life coach, I have people reaching out to me wanting to de-stress, and sometimes it's not healthy for me to work with individuals if they're under a lot of stress, if there's depression, if there's more of a therapeutic nature that would be more beneficial, then I typically refer out. Sometimes there is a physical component to it. Sometimes it's diet. What are some different ways that we can de-stress?
And again, it depends on the type of stress. So if people are coming to you with a mental, emotional type of stressor, then you're helping them identify what's triggering that. And sometimes they need additional resources, like going to seeing a therapist, whatnot. For me, I see a lot of the other types of stress. I see a lot of the people undergoing physical stress and the chemical stress. So when people are under physical stress, we assess the spine, we assess the body, and looking at posture and misalignments and that, and we use adjustments. We recommend to our massage therapists to help balance the body, bring the body back into balance. But if people are under a lot of chemical stress, they're on a lot of prescription meds, their diet's terrible, they drink a lot of soda, I don't know. Those are all things that are going to affect the physical stress. So you got to look at all of the stressors for sure. So for those people, we recommend functional medicine, and sometimes people aren't open to that. So, okay, well, how about are you just open to changing your diet up and decreasing some of your caffeine and sugar intake? Those are all things that are going to help to balance out stress.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things on the coaching side for people that I do work with, oftentimes we will look at that as well. Diet is an important part of that. Are you drinking 5 cups of caffeinated coffee a day?
Yeah.
Because that could be
Oh my
promoting
gosh.
a lot of stress in your life.
Sure. And it stresses your organs out internally, like your adrenal glands get really stressed out, and you may not realize it, but that's going to take a toll on your whole body, like so many levels. So, but a lot of people drink way too much caffeine. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So knowing the type of stress, and we actually have some resources where people can kind of identify how high is your stress in the physical category, chemical, mental, emotional category.
Great. Yep. And then I also have a resource that has to do with identifying the different types of stress emotionally and mentally. And so we will make sure that those are included in the description of this video. And Dr. Keough, thank you for joining us to talk to us about stress today.
Thanks for having me.